You've been called intimidating, and you still don't know why. And that gap between what you did and what they felt has been quietly costing you people who almost stayed. By the end of this, you're going to see 7 things you've been doing since you were a kid. 7 signs that rattle people in a culture built on performative friendliness. Not flaws in you, signals in them. Picture Julia, 34, works in tech, flew into Austin for the biggest industry conference her company sends her to every year. She got seated next to the CEO at the dinner. By accident, she thinks. She's not sure. And for the first 20 minutes, she doesn't say a single word. Not because she doesn't have thoughts. She has too many. She's tracking the marketing VP oversharing about his divorce, the head of product laughing a beat before his own punchline, the CEO who keeps glancing at the door every time someone new walks in. Under the napkin in her lap is a dog-eared paperback of Susan Cain's Quiet. She brought it because dinners like this always feel long. Then the CEO turns to her and asks one question. She answers in one sentence. And the whole table goes quiet. If you saw yourself in that video last week, the 7 signs you intimidate people. This is the other half of that story. That was about what they were doing around you. This is about what's actually happening inside their head. Susan Cain called it the great mistake. We built a whole culture around the loudest third of the population, and then wondered why the quiet ones looked like they were hiding something. You're not hiding anything. You're paying attention. And most people can't stand being seen that closely by someone who isn't performing back. Here are 7 things they see. Sign 1. You're comfortable with silence, and it unnerves the table. Most people fill silence like it's a slow leak. They laugh a beat too early. They start with, yeah, no, so, and hope momentum does the rest. You just wait. And psychologists studying conversation flow have shown that even a short pause is enough to spike the average adult's cortisol. That's the stress hormone, not because you did anything, because the room went quiet and you didn't rescue anyone from it. You aren't interviewing them. You're just letting the sentence finish. Their nervous system doesn't know the difference. It only knows that somebody at this table isn't going to fill the gap for them, and that changes the whole physics of the conversation. That's not intimidation. That's a silence that didn't ask permission first. Sign 2. Strangers confess things to you they haven't told their best friend. You've had it happen. The Uber driver who mentions his mother is dying 12 minutes into the ride. The seatmate on the plane who tells you why she's flying home. The coworker at the water cooler who says one true thing about her marriage, and then blinks like she can't believe she said it out loud. Half of those people, after they open up to you, pull away. They stop replying to your texts. They avoid eye contact next time. Not because you did anything wrong, because you didn't fix it. You witnessed it. Carl Rogers called what you do unconditional positive regard, receiving someone without trying to rewrite them. Most people, when someone starts telling them something real, are already sorting through what to say back. You aren't. You're just there. And being witnessed by someone who won't rescue you is a lot more frightening than being ignored. So you become the person people tell everything to, and never call again. Sign 3. Someone in your life has told you that you think too much. Usually it comes wrapped as concern. You're overthinking this. You're in your head again. Just relax. And on the surface, it sounds like they're worried about you. They're not. They're worried about themselves. What you're actually running is a heavier cognitive load. The mental cost of holding multiple possibilities open at once, tracking a conversation on 3 levels, noticing the thing that got skipped over. Most people run 1 level at a time. You run 3. And when somebody slower has to sit next to you, they don't feel like you're equal. They feel like a mirror that isn't reflecting quite enough of them back. Telling you to stop thinking so much is easier than admitting they're not thinking enough. Sign 4. When you're not there, the room feels different, and nobody wants to say it out loud. You've noticed this yourself, in reverse. You skip 1 dinner. You leave 1 group chat quiet for 2 days, and somebody texts you privately. It's not the same without you. You, okay? Where did you go? You dismiss it. You aren't the personality of the group. You're the quiet one. You're the one who listens. How could the room actually change? Because 1 thoughtful person inside a group of 7 shifts the whole dynamic. The oversharing softens. The point scoring quiets down. People start noticing their own volume. And when you're gone, they don't miss you the way you'd expect. They miss who they got to be around you. The person everyone quietly adjusts around is usually the last one to know they're doing it. Quick pause. If any sign so far made you go, "Wait, that's me," drop the number in the comments. I read every one. And if you like where this is going, hit subscribe. Sign 5 is where a lot of deep thinkers finally understand why they've lost friends they thought were close. Stick with me. Sign 5. People defend themselves before you've even challenged them. You've had this happen in meetings, in dinners, in casual small talk. Somebody starts explaining why they made a decision you never asked about. Somebody justifies a choice you were completely fine with. Somebody says, "Well, I know you probably wouldn't have done it that way." And you never gave any indication of that. You didn't have to. Your attention carries a weight you didn't ask it to carry. When you look at somebody directly, without performing, they hear the question you didn't ask, and they answer it. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of you aren't actually intimidating people. You're mirroring them, and calling it intimidating lets you off the hook of being the one they can't perform for. Sit with that one for a second. Because the same silence that makes people defend themselves is the silence that makes them come back the next day and tell you what they actually meant. Sign 6. In an argument, you'd rather understand the other person than win. Most people, the moment they hit a disagreement, are already loading their counterargument. You ask a question. You ask a second one. You ask a third. Because you genuinely want to see what they mean, not corner them. This does something specific to the other person's ego. It makes it visible. They can feel themselves trying to win a conversation you already stopped playing. That's what psychologists mean by cognitive empathy. The ability to model somebody's reasoning without adopting it. Most people run effective empathy. They catch the feeling. You catch the structure. And catching structure feels, to somebody who's used to winning, like being weighed on a scale they didn't agree to step on. Sign 7. And this is the one that costs the most. You see what people want ignored. The uncle at Thanksgiving whose jokes are getting sharper each year. The friend whose new relationship is a rerun of the last one with different names. The boss whose open-door policy only opens for the people who agree with him. Everyone else is doing the polite work of pretending. You aren't. And even when you don't say a word, your face makes it harder for them to keep pretending. That's why the room shifts around you. Not because you're doing anything, because in a culture that runs on performance, being real is a kind of pressure. And here is the reframe. You have spent most of your life apologizing for being the person who noticed, trying to shrink, trying to laugh a beat earlier so nobody would feel weighed. It didn't work, and you're tired. You're allowed to stop apologizing for the silence you bring. 3 things you can try this week. 1. Stop apologizing for pauses. Count 4 seconds before you fill one. Let the sentence land where it needs to land. 2. When somebody calls you intimidating, don't defend. Ask. Ask what you did that felt like a wall. Data over drama. 3. And this is the one that matters most. Keep one person in your life who matches your silence instead of trying to fix it. Just one. One is more than most deep thinkers ever get. Julia doesn't need to be louder next year at the conference dinner. She needs to know that somewhere, at a bar she hasn't walked into yet, a stranger is going to look up from his drink and think, there's the person who actually made it into the room. Your quiet is chosen, not empty. And people can feel the difference. Which sign hit closest to home? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this video found you at the right time, send it to the one person in your life who's been called intimidating and can't figure out why. They probably need to hear this too.